All right, welcome everyone to the Bluefield College Coaches Show here at Applebee's in Bluefield, Virginia. My name is Bailey Engel, and joined by the head coach of Bluefield College football, Dewey Lusk. And Coach, let's just get into that game on Saturday. A bit of a tough one for you guys. What were your overall takeaways against Pikeville?
Well, we ran into a very, very good Pikeville squad. They were big, they were fast, they were physical. And they played extremely well, had a bunch of athletes, tall receivers, good running back. They were very quick and fast on defense, but give them a lot of credit. Very good football team. And, we had a couple positives in there in that we won the turnover battle. And Tanner Griffith did an extremely excellent job in the kicking game, punting and kicking. And but overall, we need to block and tackle better, and those are the things that we need to continue to work on. Our younger kids need to continue to play to gain experience, and we knew the first part of this schedule was going to be very, very difficult. And but we're going to keep working at it, and the kids are in good spirits, and get ready for Ave Maria.
Well, before we get into more things about the Pikeville game, want to give a shout-out to our actual guest that's going to be on with us later in the show, Tanner Griffith, the kicker and punter for Bluefield College football, named the Appalachian Division Special Teams Player of the Week for the second time this season. And, folks, there's only been 3 games, and he's been named that 2 times. He'll be joining us later. We'll talk about the defense here. It seemed kind of uncharacteristic for you guys against Pikeville to give up that many yards. It was over 600 yards of offense against the Bears. What do you guys need to do other than just simply tackling better to have a better result this weekend?
Well, we had some alignment issues that we need to shore up against some of their formations. And if we get aligned correctly and able to make the tackles at the point of attack, we're going to be, in a lot better shape. But they had a very experienced. Everybody was back on their offensive line. They've got 6'5" and 6'6" receivers out there that are very tough and an extremely fast running back. We've got some young defensive linemen that we've been playing and working in that they need to continue to get the experience. But same thing on offense. We got to get aligned correctly, and we've got to execute better. And the kids, they understand that and know that, and they're going to continue to work hard to get there. And football is the best teacher of life that there is. You're going to have ups and downs in life, and it's how you handle adversity and how you handle things. And right now, we've got to learn how to handle adversity, and we've got to put one foot in front of the other and get up and keep working and working hard at it. And, I had a long talk with the kids yesterday, and they're on board with that, and they understand, and they're going to continue to work hard. We've got a great group of kids, and they're going to continue to work at it to get better.
Some of those kids that you're talking about, of course, DeMarcus Wimbush, another double-digit tackle game. He had 11 tackles. But a name that we started to talk about in the broadcast a little bit more this game than I had seen in previous games, the defensive end, Michael Barnes, had made a couple of plays, and I think he got a sack in there against Pikeville as well.
And Michael's doing a great job from Baldwin High School in Jacksonville, Florida. And you got to remember, this is his 3rd football game as a collegiate football player. And he's just going to continue to get better, just like Miles Hunt Cruz and Kayshawn Ridgel and Logan Patrone, those folks up front. And you're going to continue to see improvement out of those guys, which will mean continued improvement on defense. Same thing on offense. We've got Tim Weldon up there that's starting for the first time as a freshman. And then Antoine Shaw is now getting a lot of play and will be starting this week. But once again, it's growing pains with those folks, but they're going to continue to get better, and they are great kids, and they're going to work at it.
Well, you've been a small school football coach for a pretty long time. Is this thing where you're dealing with freshmen and sophomores and inexperienced guys a recurring theme throughout your years coaching?
It just depends on where you're at and what's going on at the time. When we were at Emory and Henry, didn't have as many freshmen and sophomores, and freshmen and sophomores didn't get to play. It was mainly juniors and seniors, and that's the point that we have to get to here, and that's a work in progress. But when we were down at Weber, same deal. And, you're continually freshmen and sophomores. And a lot of that has to do with, it costs to go to school. And you look at a lot of these bigger schools, they're on full scholarships, and it's hard to leave a full scholarship.
Right.
But, if you're having to pay $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 a year to go to school plus loans, in this day and age, that's hard. That's very difficult. So, you're always going to have to deal with some of that. You want to work hard all the time at retention, and retention is, not just me, but it's everybody, and we've got to work hard at that, and we're going to continue to work hard at that.
Another couple of strong points I want to bring up on the offensive side. Of course, you guys are kind of dealing with a young offensive line that, as we have mentioned ad nauseum in the past, but Aiden Wilder looks like he can really make up a game plan for Bluefield College, and the point he can manage a game even when he's not given the best protection. He can step back, kind of roll out, and there were a couple of passes he made where I was just pretty much amazed that he even got the throw off, and there was one point, I believe it was to Greg Ebron, that he connected with him. So how has Aiden Wilder been able to find a little bit of success even in an 0-3 start?
Well, Aiden has experience. He's 24 years old. He has maturity. He's a great leader and even a better person, and just he's going to hang tough and keep his cool and play hard, and he's a very good athlete, and he's going to make plays, and he's going to continue to make plays the more that he plays it within this offense and the more experience the other guys around him get. But he's been just a pleasant surprise, and we're so happy to have him.
Was that pooch punt something you guys had worked on a lot before?
Well, when he didn't down it, it didn't look like we had. But, yes, we had worked on that, and poor old Greg thought he was at the 5-yard line and not the goal line.
Right, because the end zones at U-Pike were not marked. So, you kind of watch.
Or Greg. Not marked well.
Not marked well at all. Not like here at Mitchell Stadium
Right.
when they're painted red.
Right.
Speaking of receivers, Greg Ebron has been a pleasant surprise, but how about Jaquan Ebron, Lowell Patron? We've been talking about them before. They're still very, very strong wide receivers.
And they're doing a fantastic job. I mean, they're a threat out there. And if we have enough time to throw the football, I mean, they're going to be effective. And the other thing, once we're able to develop a little bit more of a run game, it's just going to open up that pass game more. But when you fall behind and are having to pass a lot, I'm anxious once we iron some of these things out and able to mix it a little bit better, it's going to open those guys up for some bigger plays as we go along here.
Let's talk about the opponent this weekend, Ave Maria, making the trip from Florida. And first of all, I'm excited we don't have to take the bus trip down to Florida this year. They're coming to us. They're flying, correct?
Correct.
How does that even happen at the NAIA level?
Well, bigger budgets, raise money. I mean, there's all kinds of different ways. And we've got to go to St. Thomas next year. And I know Dr. Olive is sitting over here, but that's probably something that we need to look into.
St. Thomas is in Miami.
But, if you fly Southwest,
okay,
all your baggage is free. So there goes, you've got a bag here, a ball bag here, the trunks with one person. So it can become, if you do it far enough in advance,
right,
cost effective.
Well, I think if we fly Spirit Airlines, they'll just let us paratroop out of there for about $15. So that's something we can also look into. Well, let's talk about the Gyrenes right now, 1-1. They took a ranked team to overtime in Cumberland, and they got the win last week. I believe it was by 2 points, 35-33 against St. Andrews. What do you think that they're going to bring to the table?
Well, remember last year they were the Sun Conference champions, and so we're getting we'll have all three of the conference champions before the year's out, but this will be the second one in 4 weeks, talking about Bethel, the Bluegrass champions last year. They're going to be a very, very good football team. They've got 9 returning starters on offense, 5 on defense. They bring back their quarterback. They've got a freshman running back that's been doing most of the carries for them. And he's a really good athlete. I believe he's from Michigan, if I remember correctly. They're going to be a tough football team, and we're just thankful that we're going to have them in Mitchell Stadium here in Bluefield.
Well, we're talking about Mitchell Stadium. It's the second home game of the season for Bluefield College, and it's Community Day as well. So folks that are here at Applebee's, encouraged to bring your kids out where either if they're playing football, tell them to wear their uniform. They're encouraged to come as a whole team. If they're a cheerleader, wear their uniform as well. We're going to have a tailgate at 4:30, and they're going to be able to get into the game if they wear their uniform. And once again, encouraged to bring their whole team. What does it mean for you guys to be just a pillar in the community here in Bluefield as well?
Oh, we try every opportunity. We try to get out into the schools. We try to help folks because, we're supposed to serve and be servant leaders and help. And, and that's not only part of being on the Bluefield College football team, but that's part of being a Bluefield College student athlete. And that means a whole lot. We want to be able to give back and help as much as we can. And we enjoy having people in the community at our practices, at the games, and I want the Bluefield College community to know our kids because they're very good kids and good students, and we're so thankful that they're all here with us.
Well, Coach, I want to mix it up a little bit. We've been doing this with the athletes the past few times. I want to get your take on a few of these things. Usually these faster questions, kind of like what your favorite things are. So, Head Coach Dewey Lusk, what is your favorite movie?
Sandlot.
Your favorite your favorite food?
Wow. Look at me. Have you
Come on, Coach.
Let's see. Whatever Applebee's is serving.
All right, great answer. Your favorite song?
My goodness. Brick House.
The Rick James? Oh, the Commodores.
Thank you.
Okay, all right. My bad.
Somebody in my era.
All right. Okay. If you were stranded in the wilderness and you had to be trapped with one coach to try to get you out of the forest, what coach would you want with you on this Bluefield College staff?
Dino Cackless.
You didn't think about that at all. What is your dream vacation?
Bahamas.
What player did you look up to growing up?
Johnny Unitas.
Great. Baltimore Colts, great. Wrapping it up here, what is your favorite Bluefield College football memory?
Tanner Griffith kicking a field goal against Warner.
That was an overtime win for Bluefield College. Very big here at Mitchell Stadium, and he is our guest coming up next. After this question, what do the Rams need to do to get the win on Saturday?
I heard in the crowd score more points than the other team.
Thank you for not answering it like that. Thank you. You should just say it like that. It's a stupid question. Yeah. Is that your answer?
Waiting for an answer?
Yeah.
Does it have to be a one word, or is it got to?
No, this can be a regular question.
We just need to hang together, play together, and if we block and tackle better, we'll have an opportunity to win.
Coach Dewey Lusk, everybody, head coach of Bluefield College football.
Thanks, baby.
All right, up next we have our favorite segment of the show, and that is when Coach gets out of the booth and somebody else awkwardly slides in. So once again, folks, Community Day is on Saturday. Kickoff at 6 o'clock. 4:30 p.m. is the time of the tailgate. Kids are able to wear a jersey as well as a cheerleading uniform, and they'll be able to get in free. So you're going to have to do that. All right, we got Tanner Griffith sliding in here, coming from Gloucester, Virginia. Tanner, how you doing, man?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
I'm pretty good. First of all, congratulations on getting your second of the season. Tilt it down a little bit, Bob.
Thank you.
Your second not of the season, Special Teams Player of the Week. Congratulations. Let's get another round of applause for Tanner Griffith for that. So first of all, how long have you been kicking?
I started kicking my junior year in high school. My head coach came up to me, said he needed a kicker with a strong leg, and my soccer coach gave him my name. So.
Had you played football before that?
Never.
Not at all. Okay, but had you even thought about it before your head coach came up to you to do that?
Well, when I was younger, I wanted to play football, but my parents wouldn't let me, so they put me in soccer.
Now, was that a tough transition for you to make in high school?
Not really. It just technique is a little different. So
How so?
for kicking a football compared to a soccer ball,
Yeah.
it's more straight on technique instead of, I don't know, it's kind of hard to explain, but.
No, I understand. I mean, it's geometry. It's a little heavy for Applebee's talk. So how did you come to Bluefield? If you'd only been kicking for 2 years, was football always on your radar?
I mainly wanted to come to school and play soccer, but Bluefield kind of gave me the money to come to school for football. So I had to pick and choose my battle, and football was it.
But you were on the soccer team freshman year.
Yes.
And now that's something you're no longer doing. Was that kind of tough to just go back to just being a one sport athlete, just playing football?
It was a whole lot easier, actually. It let me focus more on one sport, focus more on my classes. So it was an easy balance between the two instead of having to go to 3 different practices a day. And
how did you balance that?
I didn't really have much time to myself, so
right.
It was always school and sports.
I'd imagine that's something that's tough for any athlete. So how is your balance right now? You're a junior. Mm-hmm. How is your work, not exactly work, but school, life, and then football balance right now as a student athlete?
Well, luckily I only have classes on Tuesdays and Thursdays, so I can balance out my workload.
So what'd you do all day today?
I worked.
Good for you. Good for you. So when you talk about Bluefield College football, what is your favorite memory playing with? Actually, before I ask that, I want to go back to a couple years ago as your freshman year. We're down in Alabama playing point, and we're lining up to kick the game-winning field goal. And you're just a freshman, and I'm doing the math correctly here. You'd only been playing football for 3 years. And we line up, and then Coach Lusk calls a timeout, which is, in effect, icing his own freshman kicker. What were you thinking about when that happened?
Honestly, I had no idea what was going on. I was confused.
Do you have any other memories about that day?
I remember lining up for the kick, and I couldn't feel my legs. I went in after the snap. It went straight, luckily, so I was pleased.
How does one kick without being able to feel their own legs?
I guess it was natural, I guess you could say.
So you just swung through. You had all the confidence in the world that kick was going in. Now, going back to your high school days, were there any other clutch kicks that you had to make?
I'd never been in that situation before.
Really?
So it was
so
the first.
Not only did he ice his freshman, but he iced a freshman that had never been in a big clutch situation like that, and you followed through anyway. Are there any other memories that come to mind when playing Bluefield College football that are your favorite?
The 75-yard punt I hit 2 weeks ago.
Wow.
That was – they returned it for 15 yards. I lost those yards, but it was – I remember kicking it and looking up, and I was, wow.
Yeah.
It's going.
That's pretty far. That's another thing for folks that haven't followed Bluefield College football, that Tanner was a kicker his first 2 years. Drake Presley was the punter, and now he is doing both. What has that transition been like for you?
It was difficult at first because I was concentrating more on punting to make sure my technique was right and put us in a good position on the field. I got away from my field goal kicking a little bit and had to recap on my technique, but I got everything straight now. So,
what was something that you had to focus on at the beginning when you were just about to be the punter? Was there something you're like, oh, I need to really improve this?
It was my approach for field goal kicking.
What did you have to change?
Just my steps, going straight to the ball instead of kind of curving my run. I just had to recap on it and make sure everything was straight and my hips followed through, my foot followed through the right way. It's just basic technique that I just had to really concentrate on, make sure it was good.
Is this something you have to work on all year long, or do you kind of take a break from it?
As the year goes through, it kind of just comes more natural than after I take a little bit off over the summer. So, it's it gets better.
Yeah, it definitely does get better. And you've made some big kicks a couple days ago. Unfortunately, it was a loss for Bluefield, but I believe it was a 41-yarder, which is one of your longest ever. Do you ever get nervous when you're stepping up to the ball in a situation like that where it's a field goal that might be a little bit longer than a chip shot?
I mean, the question about being nervous always comes up in my head. It definitely, hopefully I don't miss, kind of goes through my head. I don't like missing. It's one of my pet peeves, I think, for every kicker, obviously. But I always want to be 100% and give my team the best that I can give them. So,
is there any point when you're walking up to the ball, are you thinking about anything else?
No.
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 There's nothing else running through your mind. Everybody's looking down at you, and it's just you meditating on the ball.
I'm normally zoned in on, I got to make this. So, it's.
When you were playing soccer, was it the same thing? Were you able to take free kicks for your team? Is that something that you normally did?
In high school, I normally take most of the free kicks. In college, I didn't really take as many as I could have probably, but I guess it balances out in the end.
What was your biggest or your favorite soccer memory that you've ever had?
Regional tournament, I scored an upper 90 banger. I don't remember what
banger,
team we were
you
playing.
say?
Yeah. It was a sweet goal. It was off a rebound from the keeper, and I just hit it perfect, upper 90. So.
Was this in high school?
No, this is
in college.
Yes,
so
sir.
This was against Oakland, I believe, when we were playing in Beckley. Right?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
I remember that.
Yep.
Is that something? Do you miss the dynamic of being on the soccer team as well?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely do miss playing soccer because it's my roots. So.
Now, a lot of times on football teams, the kickers are, somewhat of like a separate breed, and maybe they're not always welcome to being an actual member of the locker room. I really hope that's not the case in Bluefield College.
Not at all.
Can you just talk a little bit more about how, what is the dynamic like with you and some of the position players in the locker room?
We all get along. I think some of the older guys, what helps out a lot is my freshman year, I made big plays for us and put us in good situations and won some games. So everybody kind of appreciates that and just keeps me in and whatnot.
Was there anybody in the locker room that kind of took you under your wing? Because you were a freshman starter, and you've been the kicker ever since.
I know DeMarcus helped me out a few times, rides to practice and whatnot. So other than that, I mean, not really.
What was it like working with Drake Presley? Because I kind of joke with Coach Lusk where he's always talking about the special teams.
Oh,
a lot of coaches don't do that. And he was always like, man, our punter, Drake Presley, he's great. And he would say you as well after making a couple of big kicks. What was it like working with him the past 2 years?
It was good. We all had, like, even Casto, Dustin, Ben, James, we all had good times. Like, we'd made practice fun because in the beginning of practice we'd do our drills and then we'd either sit on the bench and talk or go do something. So it was nice having those guys out there that we could, like, make practice less boring. So
right. Now, who is the funniest guy in your special teams crew and why?
It's probably Dustin because he's pretty goofy. You can look at him, you can tell he's pretty goofy.
I know I ride the bus with him, and it's just like one joke after another. And I mean, these are like 9-hour rides, and I'm like, and I want to be annoyed, but it's still funny.
Constant goof.
What do you think? And obviously you've had a good amount of success, even with the team not really doing as much as they can at this point. I don't want to say that, but with an 0-3 start, you're still finding some success. Is there anything you think you need to improve on as the season goes on as well?
Of course. There's always something that I can improve on. For one, being my range, being more confident in my range for field goals, my drops on punts, just more precise drops, everything just cleaner. You know what I mean?
Right. So when you're warming up, and doing field goals, obviously these are kind of the videos that go viral of guys that are hitting 75-yarders off of the tee or something that cannot really happen in a game. What's the longest field goal you've ever hit in one of those off-the-tee situations in pregame?
I believe I've hit 155
55?
in pregame practice. I have hit 160 at regular practice, but I'd definitely be pretty nervous to hit that in a game. So.
Do you think you could do that in a game?
It's possible, I believe.
What would need to happen for you to hit a 60-yarder at Mitchell Stadium this weekend?
Winds would have to be perfect. My approach, the hold, the snap, the blocks, everything. Just give me time to make my approach straight. So
I think that there is kind of an underappreciation for kickers because it really is an art form. And people say, I can do that. And no, they can't. It's hard. It's very hard to do. What's something when you started kicking that you didn't realize was going to be so difficult, but it really is?
Kickoffs are more difficult than they probably seem. It's just a lot of technique. It's you trying to mix a lot of power with a lot of technique and put the ball in the right place every time. So that's the one that I struggle the most with, that I could probably do the most improvements on.
So is that another thing where you gotta have to like harness your approach a little bit more?
Yes, of course.
What is the relationship? And we've already talked about Dustin again, but I don't think people realize how important the long snapper really is. What is it like or how important is it for them to put a good snapback there for the timing?
Oh, it's very important. If he can get me the ball to my chest, between my chest and my hips, then I can get the ball off as fast as I can.
And the snaps are coming in.
Oh, yeah. Dustin, I got to give it to him. He's doing great.
Hit a couple of good field goals the other day, and the long snaps were a part of it, and the holds from Bryce Verbal. Do you also have – I mean, this sounds so minuscule, but it really is a big part of football. Is there a relationship you have to have with your holder as well?
A lot of trust.
Yeah.
For him to get that ball down and make sure it's in the right place so you can make everything smooth.
Well, you're going to have to get that chemistry to keep going throughout the season.
Oh,
so
yeah,
far, so good.
I don't have a problem with Bryce. He's done a great job so far. So.
Well, Mr. Two-time Special Teams Player of the Week, we're going to enter our little lightning round here that Coach Lusk just had to do. We are going to do this here with Tanner Griffith. Tanner Griffith, what is your favorite show?
Favorite show? That's a hard one. I do have a favorite movie.
Okay.
Shooter with Mark Wahlberg.
That's pretty good. I like that one. Favorite song?
I don't really have a favorite song.
You don't even listen to music?
No, I love music. There's too many songs for me to choose. I love music.
What music do you listen to before a game?
Normally country. It's probably odd for most people, but.
Any particular artists that you're listening to?
Not really. All of them.
It's not. Is it old country like Johnny Cash, or is it like Luke Bryan?
Oh, it's a variety of all of them.
Mixing it up. What is your favorite pregame meal?
Definitely steak from Golden Corral.
And that's something we do every day with every game week with Bluefield College. As well as Applebee's. Applebee's is also a good pregame meal. If you played another position on the football team, what would it be?
It'd have to either be quarterback or wide receiver.
You think you could – do you have good hands?
Yes.
Can you run a good route?
I can.
Let's mix it up. Let's line them up this weekend against Ave Maria. What is your dream job outside of sports?
I'd like to go into a federal position for criminal justice.
Very important stuff. Who was your favorite athlete growing up?
Favorite athlete? Probably Lionel Messi.
Oh.
Soccer player.
He's better than Ronaldo in your eyes?
Oh, yeah, of course. No
All
doubt.
Right. Last one for Tanner Griffith as we wrap up the Bluefield College Coaches Show. What is your prediction for this game on Saturday?
I'm feeling pretty positive about it. I feel like we'll come out on top. I believe this week at practice we're going to make a comeback and everybody's going to do their jobs and give it their all so we can come out on top this weekend.
Good answer. Tanner Griffith, everybody, the kicker and punter for Bluefield College football and the reigning special teams player of the week in the Appalachian Division. Another reminder, folks, kickoff on Saturday is at 6 o'clock. 4:30, folks, bring out your kids, wear their football uniforms, wear their cheerleading uniforms, and come as a team for our community day on Saturday. So that wraps up another edition of the Bluefield College Coaches Show. And until next time, take it easy, Rams fans.